Hey guys, welcome back. This is my second video where I'm doing kettlebell sport sentiments, basically my feelings about the sport, my progress, just in general, not necessarily personal anecdotes, but today I wanted to talk about 3 C's of kettlebell sport: coaching, competition, and consistency. And I'll talk about them separately and then I'll work them in together. The first is coaching. When I started kettlebell sport a few months ago, I guess early fall, I just did it by myself. I was a lone wolf lifter. I did 10-minute sets. That's it. I liked the challenge of the 10-minute sets. I would do light weights, and when it started to get easy, I would move up to the next heaviest weight. So I used pink 8 kilogram kettlebell King's bells, did a few 10-minute sets of that. Then I got some blue 12 kilogram pro kettlebells. I did a few sets of that, and usually I would accumulate 4 or 5 10-minute sets before I would move up to the next weight. And I liked the challenge of that, and the weights were light enough where I could kind of hone technique, but also it was really just sort of a challenge. I wasn't thinking about technique too much. I wasn't videoing sets. It was more of just kind of a grind. Then I moved up to 35s. It was harder. I had to concentrate more. There's one video, I think it was on Christmas Day. I was working out with double 35s, double 16 kg, working out with my wife. And, she asked me a question while I was in the middle of a 10-minute long cycle set. And I got pretty upset because I was really struggling. And at that point, I started to realize that, as I moved up in weight, I mean, at that point, 16 kilograms is a men's starter weight, that it was a serious endeavor, and that as I moved up in weight, it was going to require more concentration, more dedication, more consistency, training. It was going to require proper diet. You can't really do a 10-minute set with heavy weight if you are, drinking beers and smoking cigars and things like that all the time. So it requires a little sacrifice as you move up in weight. And that was something that kind of dawned on me as I moved up in weights. Around the end of Christmas break, I picked up some 20 kg IKO kettlebells from Pro Kettlebell, and I thought I could just kind of roll into a 10-minute set with those. They were quite difficult at first. I only lasted about 4 minutes. I put them down, and I was frustrated because, hey, it's only 4 kilograms more, right? Well, I wasn't ready, and at that point, I began to understand the importance of interval training, which is basically, hey, it's most people can't just pick up kettlebells and do a 10-minute set. And for me, as I got to the higher weights, I couldn't do it. I couldn't just jump from 10 minutes with yellows to 10 minutes with purples. So I took a little bit of time, did some interval sets with the 20s, got used to it. I had to focus more on technique. I had to get better in the rack position. And eventually, the 10-minute set with the 20s was happening on regularly, and I have more 10-minute sets with the 20 kg than anything else. But of course, the whole time, I probably spent about 2 months using the 20 kg purples, and that whole time, in the back of my mind, I was excited to move on to the next highest weight, the green 24 kg, but I knew that it was going to be harder than before, going from yellow to purple, and I was a little bit apprehensive, and so I thought, oh, well, I'll just keep doing 10-minute sets with the purples, and eventually I'll get comfortable, and I'll, just roll right into it. And that proved to be difficult. I added 2-kilogram weight chips to the 20 kg, and I did a 10-minute set with that, but it was difficult. And then I started doing I did a few attempts with the 24s, and I failed one at 7 minutes. And I did succeed in one on St. Patrick's Day of this year. But at that point, I knew that the lone wolf approach was not going to work, and I had already been reading and following Denis Vasiliev, and most kettlebell sport forums I had read highly recommended a coach, and I liked the sport and I wanted to progress, and more importantly, I didn't really want to waste time, and I didn't want to get injured doing something stupid with heavier weights, because again, for me, I'm about 74 kilograms, 160 to 165 soaking wet. And so for me, getting to the higher weights, the amateur weight, which is 24 kilogram with the greens, getting to that weight and being comfortable with 10-minute sets, I started to wonder whether I could efficiently and safely do that by myself. And so I did complete a few 10-minute sets with the 24s, but it took a lot out of me, and I thought maybe that I was overtraining. And then when I reached out to Denis Vasiliev, he sort of confirmed that, yeah, you're overtraining. You're kind of have like a warrior approach, but it's not really going to work as things get heavier. And so at that point, I bought a weightlifting belt from Dennis, and it took a few months to ship. But when it arrived in the spring of this year, around April, I did my first set with the belt on, and the belt was actually a little bit late in arriving, and Dennis apologized for that. This is his Bellevator belt that are awesome, by the way. But it was late in arriving, and so I asked him, like, hey, do you think you could review my first set wearing the belt just to make sure I'm actually using it right or whatever? And he said, yes, of course. And then so I sent him a 10-minute set, and it's actually on my channel. It's where I'm working out on like a skateboard ramp. And he gave me like a lot of great feedback, like I think 20 minutes worth. And it just hit me at that point that, man, I want this guy to be my coach. He just gave me good feedback, and I wanted more of that, but I also just wanted structure, and I wanted someone to help me so that could progress again safely, efficiently, and start getting a feedback loop. So that's the first C. I don't know if this is backwards on the camera, but I didn't test that out. But the first C of kettlebell sport, I would say, is coaching for me. That was sort of the piece of the puzzle I was missing. The next, so yeah, I hired Dennis as a coach for the past few months, and it's been worth every penny. I don't look at it as, you know, here's how I look at it. I look at it as an education. You're paying the rate for his coaching. Obviously, you're supporting, a good man who's giving himself to the sport. So it's good in that way. But also, you know, it's an education. You're learning programming. You're learning from a mastermind, someone who's been there, who's competed, who's succeeded. Um, he has the record. It's not just some random program from some gym bro online. So I look at it as an education. I mean, I'm a teacher. I've done online seminars for the things I teach at school, and none of them have ever been worth it, but this has been worth every penny. So I thank Dennis for that. And if you're looking for a great coach, Dennis is the guy. And I'm sure there's other coaches out there. I'm pretty new to the sport, so I haven't tried others. But Dennis is kind of my role model in the sport. So I thought, wow, what a great opportunity to have him as a coach. So the next C is, after coaching, which again, I'll keep harping. Next C is competition. Competition, I define as putting yourself in a situation where you are judged by others and not simply yourself. You have to perform at possibly an inconvenient time and be assessed by others, against a clock, in a neutral territory or even hostile territory. Think away games. But it's a scheduled event that is in the future that you prepare for. And what is not a competition, in my opinion, is sort of like, I'm going to do this workout today, record myself, post it, and say, hey, look what I did today. I challenged myself. I feel great. That's a good thing, but it's not a competition. Competition has pressure, and that pressure is good for you because it's basically, I'm not a scientist or anything, but it's your body telling you this is real. You need to prepare. It's not just about what your mind thinks. Your nerves are on end for a competition, before and during. And it's really important for an athlete to compete. In fact, you're not an athlete if you're not competing. You're a hobbyist, which again is fine. There's, anyone can exercise and play sports, but an athlete is striving for a prize, and it's against others, and there's pressure involved in that, and competition helps you prepare and helps you to perform at the highest level. And that's why I like kettlebell sport. It's not just about how I feel about it, how much I like it. when you sign up for a competition, you have to go and you have to perform on someone else's time, not your own time. If you're not feeling that good, if your hands are ripped, you got to do it. And honestly, I'm a kettlebell amateur, so I've not actually competed. So, who am I to say this? But I signed up for my first competition. I'm going to be doing the NorCal Kettlebell Open in Oakland on August 1st, 2026. And I'm doing this competition for the reasons I mentioned. I'm doing it in person. I decided during my 28 kilogram training cycle that I didn't actually want my first competition to be online. And to be honest, I think online submissions, they're cool, but to me, it kind of reeks of the COVID era, and it's kind of BS to me because, again, competition shouldn't be on your own time where you would just sit there and record, and if something's not right, you can re-record later and do stuff behind the scenes. Competition, in my opinion, real competition's live. You're on the platform. I was a college wrestler. You can't wrestle virtually. That would be absurd. So competition's got to be in person. You got to smell it. You got to be in the atmosphere. Maybe you even have to travel, fish out of water. And hey, if you can perform as a fish out of water, you get a little bit more credibility. And that's kind of my goal with this competition is, hey, go out there, do my best. And if it's terrible, great. But, my goal is to get a 10-minute set with the 28 kgs and to get CMS rank. So I think that's 50 something reps. I should probably know that at this point. But basically I'm training kind of at 6 RPM. So it's a doable goal. I did my 7-minute set, but I also know hey, 10 minutes in a competition is not going to be the same thing as, a 7-minute set in the comfort of my own home, in the air conditioning in my little book nook there. So, yeah, competition is vital to progress rapidly. And I don't think I actually mentioned this. I probably should have, but the whole point of this video is the 3 C's: coaching, competition, consistency. 3 C's of kettlebell sport for rapid development. Hold on one second. I'm going to check to see. Okay. Yeah, so I could be wrong, but I feel like I am progressing in the sport fairly quickly. I have an athletic background. Everything could change when I get to 32s, which I, believe it or not, have never actually lifted for more than a few seconds, just because I kind of have reverence for them, and I don't want to move on to the 32 kgs until I have mastered the 28s, because don't want to get a stupid injury, and also I want to be prepared. Yeah, so competition will motivate you, and it will help you trim the fat of your lifestyle. I like beer, I like cigars, but ever since I started kettlebell training, I've had to kind of sacrifice those things. And that's okay, because the kettlebell sport is more satisfying. It's a deeper satisfaction than like putting my feet up and puffing on a cigar, or having a couple of beers in the evening. So yeah, I've obviously had to stop, you know, smoking cigars mainly for VO2 max and just getting the lungs ready to go. And then the beer, I still have a couple drinks occasionally, but not nearly what I was having. And to me, it's just you have a higher goal, and just the bad the habits of, you know, drinking, they just kind of fall off because you don't need them anymore. You don't, they're not a part of my goals. So um, just not important right now. So yeah, competition has helped with diet. It's helped me recognize the importance of sleep. It's also helped me um, examine my GPP workouts more. Normally, I would just kind of do CrossFit classes, but as I'm gearing up towards the competition in a couple weeks, I'm realizing that just doing random CrossFit WODs and competing in kettlebell sport at higher and higher levels, it's not really going to mesh that well after a while because, you know, for instance, like a CrossFit workout today will have like 100 meters of farmer's carry with hard style 32 kgs or something. And a part of me wants to do that, but it will set me back in the kettlebell training. So I'm still going to CrossFit classes, but I'm also kind of recognizing that I'm going to have to adjust my general physical preparedness training as I progress in the sport, and maybe have to pick a focus, and maybe I'm gonna just be working out in GPP in here more. This is my garage gym, by the way. So yeah, let me just check the schedule here one more time. Yeah, so I'm going a little bit long. I'll try to finish this in the next 7 minutes. The last C for progressing rapidly in kettlebell sport is consistency. Consistency, we know what it is. It's showing up often and in a way that shows a progression towards a goal. You know, consistency isn't just, oh, I got my heart rate up, I sweated a lot. You know, I had one teammate in college who's like, hey, if you don't throw up, you know, this isn't a good workout. But of course, he would show up to training camp like out of shape. And so it was easy for him to throw up because he wasn't training all the time. So I'm like, you know, that's not that great of a. But yeah, consistency in kettlebell sport, if you do a proper program, you'll just realize very quickly what consistency means. It's meeting your RPM goals, your reps per minute goals of your sets. It's doing what's prescribed, not less, maybe a little bit more. I mean, I'm still working that out with Dennis, but you know, maybe a little bit extra at the end if you can handle it. But not extra at the beginning and burning out. But it's doing all the workouts. In Dennis's book, in his training methodology book, he talks about every workout missed is a setback towards your goals, and that's true. Yeah, and let me just take this time to say that consistency in kettlebell sport, in my experience, is not obsession. I had one guy at work when I was telling him about kettlebell sport. He actually laughed when I told him, "Yeah, I only train with kettlebells 3 days a week, and my work is only 10 minutes. And he was like, how could you be, so interested in this if it's just 10 minutes? And, for you guys watching out there, once you start this, yeah, it's just 10 minutes of work. But I mean, if you're interested in it, you think about it all the time, and your whole life starts to focus in on your training, and not at the expense of other things. I mean, I have, again, 5 kids, family, work. I'm off in the summer, so I have more time to reflect about it and maybe intensify training a little bit. But yeah, so consistency is showing up, doing your workouts, and tracking your progress. And, if you're graphing your progress as a novice, I mean, you should be on an upward trajectory. There are plateaus, and you are going to plateau when you reach certain weights. But when you zoom out of the graph, it should be an upward trajectory, and consistency is going to contribute to that, along with coaching and along with competition. Your competition is your peak performance, or it's supposed to be. I mean, what's the point of peaking in training? I mean, if you peak in a training session but then you perform poorly in a competition, could be nerves, could be a miscalculation, but that's something you'd have to fix next time. It's an error if you don't perform at the highest level in the competition. Now, stuff happens when you're working out and competing. Sometimes you don't perform, your nerves, but that's okay. But the goal is to peak at the competition. So anyway, that's pretty much everything. I don't know what the next topic video is. I like to kind of mull over the topics. I noticed on YouTube analytics that it suggests all these, AI will suggest all these topics and put thumbnails. And I'm not anti-AI, but I like to think of my own topics. I'm a free thinker, free citizen, so I think of my own topics in my own time, and I'm in no rush to produce spoken content, so I'll think of something else and do another video in due time. Until then, keep training, and yeah, I don't have a cool outro, but I'll just hit a sitting press. There you go.